Deep within the labyrinth of America's government, a storm is brewing. The untouchable globalists, whose puppet masters nestled in the bureaucracy, thought they'd buried their secrets forever. But now President Trump and his inner circle are sharpening the knives. They're ready to drag these shadowy figures into the light, to sacrifice them on the altar of a furious public for crimes that stretch from the COVID pandemic to decades of globalist deceptions and hidden agendas. Sweeping reforms are coming, a purge to rip the global elite's tentacles from US soil. And leading the pack straight to the guillotine, Dr. Anthony Fauci. His preemptive pardon ripped up, his past crimes under a microscope, his fate all but sealed. The clock is ticking, the pieces are moving, and trust me, you won't believe what's about to drop. Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is a digital space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. The global elite thought they'd hit the jackpot with Joseph Biden, a perfect pawn for their twisted game. Corrupt to the core, compromised beyond redemption, and barely clinging to coherence. This puppet president spent 4 years as their willing tool. Whatever his shadowy master slid across his desk, he signed, sometimes without even lifting a finger, letting an auto pen do the dirty work. For them, he was the ideal frontman, a hollow shell, obediently greenlighting their agenda, while the string stayed firmly out of sight. Such blatant treason cannot be allowed to stand, especially when Biden's last acts involved the unprecedented preemptive pardoning of a roster of globalist lapdogs and outright criminals. President Donald Trump has declared that last-minute pardons that President Joe Biden issued in the final hours of his term are void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. When asked if the pardons would hold up in court, Trump said, "It's not my decision. That will be up to a court."
To follow up on the Biden auto pen, are those executive orders or those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons.
The bad news for Anthony Fauci, the modern-day Joseph Mengele, is that the court in question will not be some cushy civilian circus. No, it's a military tribunal. That's right, brass, bars, and no-nonsense justice. A Trump administration insider warns that Fauci's days of strolling free are ticking down to zero. Destination? Guantanamo Bay. A one-way ticket to a cell block reserved for America's most treacherous betrayers. Trump is not playing games. He's dusting off powers that allows the military to scoop up US citizens deemed threats to the nation. And he's clearing space at GITMO as we speak. This isn't just another roundup, this is a reckoning. A purge for a rare breed of traitors. Those who've betrayed America, handing it over to the shadowy global elites lurking behind the veil. We're exposing the masterminds of chaos caught in the act, unleashing pandemics, weaving globalist mind games, and corralling the masses like livestock into a dystopian abyss. Take this broken soul, for instance.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at me.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
My mandible is locked.
Yeah.
My tongue is protruding here.
Oh, okay.
I can't speak.
Okay.
Just bring me home.
This is what starts happening.
The global elite were running a script decades in the making, engineered by a finely calibrated killing machine that thrives on chaos and control. But now, the tables are turning. The hunters are becoming the hunted. And the cage doors at Guantanamo are swinging wide open. Understand that when Trump says they're looking at the statute of limitations, this is very, very bad news for Fauci, whose pardon has been ripped up, and whose heinous crimes stretch back decades.
Will there be accountability for the lying to Congress when you get to appoint your new AG Deputy AG.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at statute of limitations because, you know, the statute of limitations are quite long, and we're going to be looking at that very seriously, yeah.
In the same way that Nazi Dr. Joseph Mengelé's crimes horrified the world when his atrocities were exposed after World War II, the scope and reach of Fauci's horrific experiments on animals, children, and society at large are leaving investigators stunned. This man is a straight-up psychopath, whose parallels with Mengele are frightening. Imagine this. Fauci takes your own beloved dog, locks it in a room with swarms of starving sandflies, traps its head in a cage, cuts out its vocal cords so it can't even whimper, and lets those flies eat it alive. All while taunting you that he's spending the money you paid the government. Why did Fauci subject those puppies to such agony? Was it critical to his research? Hardly. He did it for one chilling reason. Because he could.
In the case of those experiments, those dogs were going to be force-fed and injected with massive doses of experimental drugs to poison them to see at what point they got sick or died. And those tests will have no relevance for the safety and efficacy of that drug in human beings.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. And Fauci, he's one of them. But hold on, because it gets even darker. This was only the beginning for him. In Hawthorne, New York, the bodies of thousands of children killed by Fauci in illegal medical experiments were unearthed, stacking up undeniable evidence to charge the former NIH director with a litany of crimes against humanity and atrocities against children.
Tony Fauci made sure that none of those kids had guardians, which is illegal, and then he hid what he was doing from the boards. He took foster homes in 6 states, and he turned them over to the pharmaceutical industry. You know, there's videos of these children, an old BBC documentary that will make you cry. I promise you cannot look at these without weeping. One of these kids, a 12-year-old who's trying to protect the 8 years old, and he has a tube in his stomach. Celia Farber, who's this amazing researcher who worked on this chapter for me and did a lot of the original research on it. She actually went up to Hawthorne, New York, to the Gates of Heaven Cemetery. She found the cemetery where Fauci was disposing of the corpses of these children who died in his illegal experiments. She found an open pit. It was actually covered by an astroturf carpet. She opened the astroturf carpet and she saw hundreds and hundreds of tiny little coffins stacked haphazardly upon each other, because these are children who have no parents and nobody was there to protect them.
Why wasn't this front page news in every newspaper in the world? Where is the mainstream media? The short answer is the mainstream media is hard at work covering up the crimes of the global elites, including Fauci's depraved activities. But the tide has turned. Prosecutors are licking their lips, some of whom have lost family members at Fauci's hands. And here's why. They've got an ironclad case against Fauci, locked and loaded, just begging to be unleashed. It's an open and shut case, and they're itching to pull the trigger. We've got the details straight from the horse's mouth right after this important word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is pillsforever.com. If you think Big Pharma have your best interests at heart, think again. Under Biden, the price of medicine in America has skyrocketed, and there are certain medicines Big Pharma don't want you to know about. That's why I've partnered with pillsforever.com. All of their FDA-approved medicines are the cheapest you'll find anywhere. More importantly, you can order medicines that Big Pharma don't want you to have, such as ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and fenbendazole. Speaking of fenbendazole, not only does it get rid of parasites that live inside your body, there have been studies that show fenbendazole can help with cancer. Listen to this testimony of Joe Tippins, a cancer survivor, thanks to fenbendazole.
2 years ago, Joe Tippins says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippins says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine. Specifically, fenbendazole.
My insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Get 15% off using coupon code People's Voice at the checkouts. Please click the link below this video to take advantage of this fantastic offer. Just a few years ago, the global elite was celebrating what they believed to be their so-called final solution for humanity, the COVID mRNA vaccine. Their evil plan? To inject every single person on Earth with mRNA again and again for years to come.
We made it!
I love you! We have a successful vaccine! The efficacy was more than 90%. Oh my God!
Resulted in a success. And this success looks like the biggest scientific breakthrough of the last 100 years.
But the tides have turned. The COVID vaccine rollout is now a crime scene, and Albert Bourla and Bill Gates are on trial in the Netherlands for their roles in orchestrating the COVID plandemic. And as for Fauci, his situation is even more dire. The Trump administration has made it clear. Fauci will face justice in the United States.
Where did this virus come from, do you think, today? Did it come from a lab? Was it man-made?
When you have the animal-human interface, and you have animals that come out of the wild that are sold at these open, what they call them, wet markets.
Place of origin was not within the market itself.
No, I don't think you could say that.
There's a report today that another intelligence arm of the U.S. government, this is inside our energy department, has joined the FBI in concluding that COVID began with a lab leak in China.
That the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute.
We now know that a bat coronavirus was enhanced in a lab. The National Institutes of Health acknowledged that it funded research of a virus that was studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The experiment unexpectedly, we're told, made a bat coronavirus more contagious than the original naturally occurring one.
Take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about.
They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not. What we're talking about now is the gain of function research in studies that increase predominantly the transmissibility as well as pathogenesis and alteration of host range of the virus. Nobody is lying here, Senator. It is you. I'd have to laugh at that.
Fauci stands accused of being the worst serial killer humanity has ever known. And he admitted in his own emails that he planned the pandemic.
Of serving in 5 administrations, I thought I would bring that perspective to the topic today, is the issue of pandemic preparedness. And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today, is that there is no question that there will be a surprise outbreak. The thing we're extraordinarily confident about is that we are going to see this in the next few years. Thank you.
To truly grasp the horror of the situation, picture this. The COVID vaccination campaign stands alone in history as the first to increase excess deaths instead of saving lives. This is the dark legacy they desperately tried to bury, but now justice is on the way.
Hey, listen close. This is straight from the inside, no filters, no BS. You need to get this out to as many people as possible to keep the pressure on. We're moving full steam ahead to prosecute Anthony Fauci. A military prosecution, a tribunal, Guantanamo Bay. It's happening. They're carving out a special corner down there in GITMO, a cage for traitors and globalist elites like him. He's the first domino, but he won't be the last. Mark my words, this is just the beginning. What people know about Fauci, that's the tip of the iceberg, my friend. Peanuts compared to what's under the surface. The reality's so much worse. We're talking America's greatest serial killer, hands down. The numbers? Staggering. Millions of lives snuffed out or ruined, and that's not hyperbole. That's what the classified files show. His worst impulses weren't just ignored, they were unleashed, given free rein by a system that bowed to him like some twisted god. But we've got him now, and the hammer's coming down. Here's how it's going down, legally, I mean, because I know people are asking, how can Trump pull this off? It's the Military Commissions Act of 2006, straight out of the Bush era, updated under Obama in 2009. Title 10 of the U.S. Code, Section 948A. Look it up for yourself. It gives the president authority to order military tribunals for anyone deemed an unlawful enemy combatant. Even U.S. citizens, if they're accused of aiding enemies or committing war crimes. Trump's teams arguing Fauci's actions, funding gain-of-function research tied to foreign labs, suppressing intel, pushing policies that tank the nation, amount to crimes against humanity, maybe even biological warfare. That's their case. He's a traitor who weaponized science against the American people. The law's broad, real broad, and Trump's got the power to greenlight it. No civilian courts, no appeals, just a one-way ticket to a military judge in GITMO. The case? Open and shut. They've got whistleblower docs, emails, memos, stuff from NIH insiders. They've got financial trails, too. Millions funneled through Shell grants to labs overseas, places with no oversight. Witnesses are lining up. Scientists he silenced, families he destroyed. The charge sheet's thick. Crimes against humanity, treason, mass murder by proxy. They're saying he knew the risks, pushed ahead anyway, and covered it up while the bodies piled up. The tribunal's being prepped as we speak. Gitmo's getting a new cell block, nicknamed Fauci's Folly by the guards. But let me tell you something they won't put in the press release. Something I heard straight from a guy who saw the files. Back in 2008, Fauci ran a quiet little trial in a rural clinic, some nowhere town in the Midwest. They were testing a new antiviral, something hush-hush, off the books. He handpicked the subjects, mostly poor folks, desperate, no one who'd be missed. Promised them treatment, hope. Instead, he juiced the doses, ignored the side effects. People started bleeding out, organs shutting down. One nurse tried to blow the whistle. She vanished 2 days later. By the end, 47 were dead, bodies cremated, records torched. Fauci walked away clean, called it a necessary sacrifice in a memo, with the keywords spelled wrong so FOIA requests couldn't get him. That's the real Fauci. The public's got no idea the depths of his depravity. But we do, and we're not letting it slide. Trump's all in. Says Fauci's the poster boy for the swamp, the globalist elite who think they're untouchable. When that first domino falls, the rest will tumble. Gates, the WHO cronies, all of them. This is retribution, pure and simple. So spread the word, and stay safe out there. This is war.
Hundreds of millions of people and counting have died because of the evil Dr. Fauci. The modern-day Joseph Mengele lied about everything and destroyed the lives of millions. Future generations will spit at the mention of his name. In classrooms, children will whisper it with dread, taught to tremble at its sound. History will bear the weight of his disgrace. Hundreds of millions lost, their ghosts a silent testament. It's time to arrest Dr. Fauci. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the elites, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6 is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6 enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.